Assemble! Stay dandy, baby. It's time for me to make you an offer you can't refuse. Greetings, my friends, and welcome to another Patreon-supported review. Today's episode was brought to you by Antonio Thompson, who made a very nice donation to my Patreon, and he asked me to take a look at the 2006 anime series, Katekyo Hitman Reborn. It's so fitting that an anime series all about the Mafia was brought up to me by a guy named Antonio. Katekyo Hitman Reborn is an anime series that I've always kind of been interested in, but never really took the plunge. So, Antonio, thank you so much for your donation and allowing myself to sort of dive right into this mafioso-styled story. Just a little bit of a heads up, I'm not going to be talking about the entire series of Katekyo Hitman Reborn, because it's over 200 episodes long, and I really just did not have the time to sit through all of that. But I am going to be talking about the first couple major story arcs all the way up from episode 1 to episode 33. And after watching these episodes and doing a little more research on the actual show itself, hilariously enough, it was really only just getting started. The first two major story arcs of the entire story really are just sort of introducing us to the main characters of the show, the story, the world, and of course giving us our first major conflict. But it does give you kind of a good idea of what you're actually getting into. So, without further ado, let's go ahead and jump into Katekyo Hitman Reborn. Is it any good?
Maybe. Maybe not. Maybe fuck yourself.
So Katekyo Hitman Reborn, otherwise just known as Reborn, is an anime series all about Tsunayoshi Sawada, otherwise known as Tsuna. He's a young, timid Japanese student who just so happens to be next in line to be the lead of a Mafia family which goes by the name of the Vongola family. And he's going to be prim and prepped by the world's greatest assassin who goes by the name of Reborn. And of course the big twist here is that Reborn takes the form of a little baby. When I saw this character for the first time, I immediately thought of Koenma from Yu Yu Hakusho. Even though he looked like a baby, you definitely don't want to mess with this guy. Reborn is an assassin that you really don't want to mess with. He may look like a baby, but he has no qualms about shooting you between the eyes. The first 20 or so episodes of Reborn are all about Tsuna being trained by Reborn, whether he wants to or not. You see, Tsuna is one of those characters who really doesn't seem like he should be the main character of an anime series. He doesn't really have a lot of confidence, especially when it comes to messing with school bullies or even the girl that he has a crush on. It's Reborn who slowly but surely starts to bring him out of his shell, and also through an act of desperation, or really I should say deathperation, he's able to bring out his inner mafioso. You see, one of the big gimmicks of the show is that Reborn actually has this special gun, which is also his pet chameleon, which has the ability to transform into a number of different objects. Trust me, don't think about it too much, it'll just make your head hurt. The point is, this gun actually has these special bullets which can bring out the special abilities of whoever they end up getting shot with. And that always ends up being Tsuna. In the first episode, just within the first 5 to 10 minutes, he immediately gets hit with one of these deathperation bullets, as they're actually known, which allows him to bring out his inner fighting spirit, causing fire to erupt from his head, and for some odd reason it also causes all of the clothes on his body to just rip off like the Incredible friggin' Hulk. While in this crazy state, Tsuna is incredibly powerful, he can move very fast, and his confidence levels have shot through the frickin' roof. However, there is a little bit of a drawback. This only lasts for a very small amount of time, and they simply just can't be used whenever he wants to. There are actually consequences for using these bullets, but they come in a number of different forms, and they actually play a lot of roles in the first 20 episodes of the series, which for the most part is a straight-up comedy. Now look, I'm no stranger to comedic anime, and I understand in these long-running shonen battle manga series that the first arc is usually a little more lighthearted. But the first 20 episodes of Katekyo Hitman Reborn, I have to be perfectly honest, was kind of hard to get through. And you know what? I don't actually blame the lore or the world or even the side characters. A lot of my umbrage actually has to take place with the main character himself, Tsuna. I'm gonna go ahead and put this out there right here because these are my honest thoughts. I don't like Tsuna. He's not a very good main character in my opinion. Now, I need to stress, of course, yet again, that I only watched the first couple arcs of the series, and this character looks like he is going to go through a massive evolution as the series goes on. As it stands, throughout most of the first season and the first couple arcs of the series, Tsuna is just an absolute bitch.
You can act like a man! What's the matter with you?
Luckily, the first 20 episodes of the series pretty much play out like a straight comedy, introducing a lot of these side characters throughout the show. That's what's kind of interesting about the first arc of the show, is that not only is Reborn sort of training Tsuna to be a confident Mafia mobster, but we also get to see that little by little he's starting to sort of form his very own Mafia family, which consists of all of his fellow classmates, which are arguably more interesting. There's Ayato Gokudera, who while at first seems kind of dense, is a weapons expert when it comes to explosives, and that goes perfectly with his overall personality, where he tends to get really pissed off and explodes. There's Takeshi Yamamoto, who is incredibly dense to everything that's going on here, and he really thinks that Tsuna and all of his friends are basically just playing Mafia. He doesn't even realize that they're actually a part of some weird criminal organization. My favorite character is probably Kiyoya Hibari. He's a very cold and callous character. He's the head of the disciplinary committee, and he uses a pair of tonfas to dish out a lot of really cool justice. There's also the brother and sister pair of Ryohei and Kyoko, and Kyoko ends up being the object of affection for Tsuna, which never really works out in his favor, and Ryohei is basically the lead of the local boxing team, always trying to get people to join in. While Tsuna, in my eyes, might be a weak character, it's all of these other characters which sort of really make the series work. This group of freaks and geeks and weirdos just really brings everything together. But let's talk about those babies for a second. Reborn is not actually the only baby character that we see in the series, and there are definitely a few more who managed to pop up in this season, and we also get the implication and tease that we're going to see a lot more of them in the future of the franchise. Reborn himself is probably the best part of the entire show, just for the fact that he's so incredibly aloof and takes everything in stride, but that's because he's the world's greatest hitman. He's seen everything there is to see, not to mention just one of the funniest things about his character is that he's a tiny little baby, and yet he is such an expert assassin, and he has these little secret hideouts that are popping up throughout the course of the entire series, and getting to see all of them every time always puts a big smile on my face. That and the fact that he almost seems to take some sort of weird carnal pleasure in seeing Tsuna suffer, which is also pretty damned hilarious. There's a few other baby assassins who actually appear throughout the series. Some of them are kind of funny, like this Chinese girl who fights with gyoza and bad breath, and then of course there's Lambo. Lambo can go straight to hell. Lambo, just like Tsuna, just absolutely rubs me the wrong way. I can't quite put my finger on it, but every single time the character is on screen, I just want harm to come to him. That being said, like a lot of the other characters in the series, he does have a unique ability. He has this bazooka, which allows him to age people, including himself, and this seems like something that could be really fun for the future of the series. So getting back on track here, the first half of the first season is pretty much all about Tsuna just getting thrown through the School of Hard Knocks and being taught by Reborn. And almost every single episode is a complete standalone story where there's some sort of new character who's introduced who either wants to kill Reborn or Tsuna, and then eventually they end up becoming a friend by the end, while he learns a lesson, gets hit with a bullet, powers up, gets into a fight, and then immediately everything sort of resets and goes back to normal. And I honestly thought that this was going to end up being the entire series, and I have to be honest, it just wasn't gelling with me at first. And like I said, I love long-running anime that started out as kind of a comedy. Look at Naruto, or Dragon Ball, or even One Piece. They're all incredibly comedic at the very beginning of their inception, and then eventually start to get a little more serious in terms of the story that they're telling. It isn't until the 20th episode of the series where we're finally introduced to a real villain for the very first time, who goes by the name of Mukuro Rokudo, which, yes, is a very fun name to say. The introduction of Mukuro and his gang gives us our first real major story arc here, where we're introduced to a character who has a very unique ability and power. Mukuro is really great, as he has the ability to sort of control people with his special eye powers. He can sort of possess people to work for him directly, and he wants to take out Tsuna and his gang, and it leads to a conflict between these two groups, which honestly felt classic. It was the part of the series that I really started to get into, because it really felt like I was watching like a classic shonen battle series. And it features all of his different family members utilizing all of their signature techniques and skills to take down this evil organization, and also leading to Tsuna actually getting a very special power for the very first time in the series, where before he always had to rely on Reborn and his bullets, where by the end of this arc he actually ends up getting these brand new abilities, these gauntlets that he gets to wear on his hands, which initially take take the form of these goofy looking mittens, but they actually transform into these like metal gauntlets which can basically just ignite with fire, and it leads to what is probably the best fight of the first arc of the series, which is really explosive and exciting and features the best animation that the first season definitely has to offer. And let's go ahead and talk about that animation for a second. Now, this is an anime series which came out in the mid-2000s. 2006, 2007 is kind of when this season first came out, and it's okay. It's definitely nothing to write home about, especially the first couple episodes of the series. There's really nothing all that impressive here, and even when we do get to the action scenes, while they can be exciting at times, it's definitely nothing too crazy from the genre, and that was a little disappointing, I have to admit. But again, I'm gonna give the series a little bit of leeway, if only for the fact that it is a little bit older, and it's based on a very long-running manga series, so I am gonna have to cut it a little bit of slack there. But for the most part, it's pretty inoffensive, and all the character designs are at least distinct, so whenever a character appears on screen, you know exactly who they are. And of course, there's the big clash between the normal-looking characters, if you want to call them that, and of course the baby characters in the show, which are extreme caricatures, to say the least. And speaking of those babies again, because I didn't watch the rest of the series, they do start to bring up the fact that Reborn is a part of this group of baby assassins, the Arcabaleno. They're brought up by Mukuro, and I'm kind of interested to see what sort of things they're going to do in the future of the series, because I know there has to be a little bit more to the fact that Reborn simply just looks like a baby. I mean, he might be able to transform into like a full-fledged adult. I don't know if this is a form that he was cursed with, a la Detective Conan. I don't really know what the deal is here. Maybe it just pays off to be a tiny little baby and be unassuming. Maybe that's what makes him such an amazing assassin to begin with. The point is, they do build up the fact that there's a lot more to this in the future, and I'm sure the adventures are definitely going to intensify as the series actually goes on. For what it was, however, the first season was okay. I have to be perfectly honest here. I didn't exactly fall in love with Katekyo Hitman Reborn. Yet, at the same time, I have a feeling that it probably gets better as it goes on. It's the type of show that if I really want to appreciate it, I feel like I'm going to have to stick through with it. The thing is, watching the first 33 episodes of the entire show, I have to admit, was kind of an uphill battle for me. I was not really even digging the show until we got to about episode 20. I really had to force myself to try and appreciate these characters a little bit, and I had to understand that I was looking at an older anime series, so the animation wasn't exactly blowing me away, and it just seemed kind of generic at first. That and the fact that most of the first 20 episodes, especially after the introduction of the main characters, is mostly stuff that is just comedy-based. Just, you know, and if you like that stuff, that slice-of-life stuff, it might work for you. And I love Mafia-styled gangster anime series. I think it goes without saying that I've even reviewed a few in the past, such as Gangster, and even my personal favorite, JoJo's Bizarre Adventure Golden Wind. This, however, is the exact opposite in every way. It's a lot more lighthearted, but again, like I said, I think it's one of those slow-burn shonen battle manga series that you really have to just keep watching to truly appreciate. So, while it didn't exactly blow me away, I'm glad that I watched Katekyo Hitman Reborn. I got to see a show that was really popular with a lot of people, and if anything, I might check out the later seasons just to see what's going to happen. After doing a little bit of research, I learned that the manga series does indeed have an official end, and apparently the anime version does not animate the entire story, which is a little disappointing for me, because it means if I really want to absorb the entire thing, I'm going to have to watch the anime, then I'm going to have to read the end of the manga, or just read the manga version in general. I'm not really sure which one I'm gonna go with, but I'm glad that I checked out this series. It's another one of the shows that I can sort of put off my bucket list, and it's a show that I've been really wanting to look at for a long time, so I'm glad that I saw it. It's unique, it's funny, and it's just strange. That's the only way to put it. It's Katekyo Hitman Reborn. If I could give the first season a score, I'd probably give it a 3 out of 5. Just kind of average, but still definitely has some entertainment value, some fun characters, some okay action scenes, and if anything, it's inventive, and it has a group of characters that I'm never going to forget, especially the two main duo of Tsuna and Reborn. They really are a great pair, even if Tsuna just really pisses me off. So there it is, Antonio Thompson, thank you for your recommendation of Katekyo Hitman Reborn. I'm sorry if I didn't love the series as much as you did, but it was still a unique experience, and I might check out the other arcs later on. If any of you guys are fans of Katekyo Hitman Reborn, sound off in the comments section below and tell me what you thought about the anime adaptation of the series. Do you guys want me to check out the future seasons? Is it really worth it to go even further into the show? Do you have any favorite characters or moments from the first season, or just things you really like about the series in general? Let's have a discussion all about that in the comments section below. Make sure to subscribe to the channel for more reviews just like this one. And of course, this was a Patreon supported review. If you guys would like me to review an anime series of your choice, please check out my Patreon. There will be a link for it in the description box below. Remember guys, a little donation goes a long way, and it'll give you an opportunity to make a video personally for you about a show that possibly I have never seen. And I really love that. I love being able to branch out and see shows that I've never seen before, as it really does sort of expand my anime horizons. Again, it's really easy to do. Check it out in the description box below. And of course, if you liked this video, take your pet chameleon, transform it into a Deathpiration bullet, and hit that like button. I would really appreciate it. So, there it is. That's the end of this review. Like I said, just subscribe to the channel, share this video with your friends. I'll see you all next time, and as always, stay down there, baby.